don't ask difficult questions. Go easy on me.
Yes, sir. Yes, Rinpoche.
Save the difficult ones for me.
Thank you, Rinpoche, for your time. My question is, there is one verse in this prayer we do that Buddha Palita kind of observed that things exist because of the name. So now my question is, a small child can see things, but it doesn't have maybe name. So how can a small child kind of name things, or how can things exist because of name if there's no like a language? Also in the Golden Light Sutra they say phenomenon exists because of name or because of language. So
Golden Light Sutra, the down causes phenomenon because I should in Zugi Yotan Ligis the Ming Samgi Yotan Doshi and Mings any the Pendujubding so tapdigan and a 6J Chigi cause a Loban Lectin Chegi Loban Viveka. Did you say Sangi Loban Sangi Gangi 6J Nala and a cassette everything exists. We need the exact words, otherwise we're
yes.
Fourth verse, yeah.
Like I was telling you between yoga and
Yeah, it's the fourth verse, yeah. By name alone, does it say? Yeah. So it says by name alone. So Ming Konala Deni or Yotse. And indeed, and Pugu Chunshin Shro, she because the Ming shed the shame maneuver, she did. And he calls the kind of Kandus, Churdins, the Kandus Shingidos, the Churtam she the Ming Sam, you know. Yubit say they give Ming Sam, you know. And he Pugudins who give Ming Pejatame Machine, and he Kandus the Pugudins they get chum triple dose, Matoda.
Tanda Narol Ming said the Aju Tanda Ming Dang Jigi Bena Jikasori naming the Sewon Chet said Davan, Shingi Ming Di in Jimare. The Mingi Che said to Zambe, and Korangi Lolia to Sharon to Zambe, Pumba said you Lord Sharvina. Pumba said to Zambe Lord Sharon Chepena, Pumba said you Hamokobina, Tanya de Hamokobina, Wa Korangi Moji. 통해줘요. 배나 보고 중중으로 집이나 피게디 아마 세지. 신기하다 봐. 이나 아마 신인디 명디 럽주리. 디가 저기 칠리 때문에 명된다들이 마도 된게 명디 말아 봐.
시기든 알리 타니세 디가 명.
타니세디 고단디. 타니세디 고 시기 고의 전에 디 타니세 직체 명기 고단계 전에 타니세 고단이로 와.
And so there are two sort of, in relation to this, there are two sort of ways of thinking about how understanding through things like here conventions and words. So for instance, in terms of the way in which a name is attributed to phenomena, for instance, for me, the name I was given was Serkong Rinpoche. But when we talk about so one kind of form of attributing a name or a term to someone, but that's not the kind of thing we're talking about here. For what we're talking about here is sort of the way in which the phenomena such as a pot appears to the mind, and it's possible to, for say these small children, it's possible for them to know the kind of entity of something, but not actually know what the sort of the conventional term which is used to call that entity, to the conventional sort of name or term that is used to indicate that. So it's possible to know something, at this level of entity, but not know the word or the the conventional term which is used to indicate that entity. And so, for instance, a child sort of knows its mother, so to speak, but the convention or term, used like conventionally related to that object of mother, such as the word mother, is something that they'll train in and become accustomed to later on.
말이다 된디 latane 아니 봄바스 명다에 직체 된리 때니 된들 때니 봄바로 샤다죠.
So there's one sort of, so in terms of taking this phenomenon such as a pot and the sort of object of the pot, so the sort of very object itself, not connected to, it literally means meaning, but it's the object itself. And then there's an appearance, a way to understand that pot through appearance, and the level of meaning of the level of the object itself.
배나 얘기 체조 상가지 하고 왔지. 얘 체조도 하고 왔지. 안 딜야 아니 디디 수레 슬라베티. 아니 쇼로 딜 세공으로 미치 시기요래. 슬라야디. 뭐냐 전에 된다라고 하고 자봐. 이나양 디 다데 따야 하디요리스. 다줄 하디요르마도 된다 하고 자라. 타냐 하고 자라. 타냐 운에디. 타냐 신이버디. 술 따고 유메데 하고 요래. 딜레 나좀아선 된디 차산로를 추잖아. 타냐 따다 렐하고 있으고 봐.
알레오. 디 토라.
제장가 쓰고. 제장가 어디 있는 신시제 가란 쪽이 부구 춘춘지기 아니 배나 아마지 통 소소 아마 통데 아마스 랍 셴네 마셴네 아마시베기 초르바 아말레 템베 지기 가르 캐주 가르고 있는 소소 오마 고고 요네리 제와 고고 요네리 디 초와들레 차 다 콜레 신행아 저기 타네 치기 타네 치기 아니 딜라 아마스지 하토르만도 신 된다다다 데리어 봐.
And so, when we think about, so then in that context, if you know the sort of meaning, this sort of the object itself, the meaning of the object itself, but at that level of knowing what its kind of entity is, and then, for instance, you take something like a pot, and then you ask, well, what? Then you already know at that level of that sort of at that meaning level. And then you ask, well, whose is this? And then if you say it's Serkong Rinpoche's or someone like that, then you're sort of applying these sort of conventional terms on the top of it. But that already takes place in the context that you know the meaning of it, or you know the entity of it already. And so if you know this at that level, the kind of level of the entity of something, then it's much easier then. It's much easier to learn or to know on that basis the way to apply particular words or terms which are connected with that actual entity, the objective entity. And so, for instance, so this is the way in which young children have already. They've already, in relation to their mother, they sort of have some idea about the sort of characteristics of the qualities or characteristics of their mother, so that they have some feeling about, for instance, if they, in relation to their mothers, about things like they need love, they need milk. They've developed these feelings already in relation to that, which means that they have understand the meaning, so to speak. But of course, they still don't know the sort of conventional terms or words which are applied to it. But they've already understood. So it doesn't mean you can't understand anything. You've understood the entity and the meaning, but you still, in those cases, you still have this application of the terms still to learn if you're a small child.
For example, I might have two names. I have actually. I'm known as Tsenshab. Okay. Then my the other name is Tsenshab. Okay. So the whole time you know me as a second Tsenshab. My other label is hidden until now. So maybe there will be somebody who does not know me from Serkong Tsenshab, but then they will say this Tenzin Tobden, Tenzin Tobden, Tenzin Tobden. You will just go, I really want to meet this Tenzin Tobden. And then you find out, oh, this is the same guy. But still you will not feel like Tenzin Tobden, how that he can be. No, it's done, finished. But the most important, turn till
on the meaning, so the most important thing is on the basis of that meaning, what is it that you sort of need? That's what's required.
What you get the
what you're going to
recognition.
get, yeah.
Recognition here, what you are talking. That is most important. 제상가 먼저 군주비 자와 체당대 탄이 잠식 열에서도 레벨 명지 따지 군주세야 하고에 개침을 말했어. 레벨 군주 덴바세야 디 명단 하고에 개침을 말했어. 군주기 자와 체당대 코랑기 뇌에 매봐. 코랑기 뇌에 매봐. 땡진 저와 좀 코네고네 내가 제드레스 라두점베 민점 다점 탄예점세도 두슬레도 버렸다.
고야 되게.
디레. 디마도 지금 명지구 내가 지금 쓰고 말다.
Yeah, so for instance, when we talk about, just using the word, which we probably do ourselves, just using the word, say in terms of a conventional phenomena, conventional reality, you can use that word in term. So you might use the word to sort of to talk about conventional reality, but if we don't know the way that particular taking that subject as conventional reality, and if we don't know how it sort of operates, so for instance, if we in the way that we've been explaining things, so that conventional are sort of one of the sort of modes of operation of conventional phenomena, that they don't exist from their own side, but they do exist as a dependent origination. They have functionality. They have their sort of functions, or despite existing from his own side. If we don't understand that about the word conventional phenomena or conventional reality, then and just use the word, and then you haven't because dun ma goya de ge sik page time mato de ming sam because na
ming say di
dun ma shena
전조 전을 때네 나와 차례게 어디 시거로 마도 지게 any the level 당한 주 민감부죠 봐.
Yeah.
디게진이 말이야.
Yeah, so not just using terms in a kind of dry way, but having to really understand what is the entity of that meaning or object, and how that appears. So that's the important, not rather than just getting a series of dry kind of labels or terms.
The label is just like the label of like the Apple logo. Just put it there. But the more important is how it functions. That's more important. So maybe Alex, you want to add something more on that?
The word that Rinpoche is using, ten, means both the meaning of a word and also the object. It means both. And so you can know the object, which is the vase. So you know the vase, and you know the meaning of the word vase is referring to this thing, but you don't know the word. So you have to know the thing, which is the meaning of a word, in order to apply the word correctly. Otherwise, it's just a sound. A word is just a sound. Yeah. And to know, the object and the meaning is not just the object and the meaning, but what you know in terms of conventional truth. That is the functionality of it, not just this is a vase, this is a table, but you need to understand the functionality of it, and then that it actually functions. Then you really have the meaning of the word conventional truth.
So established by name alone includes that? Established by name alone includes that functionality and meaning?
No, we need that.
Remember, I said the word establish means to prove. How do you know that something exists? Because it is functioning. So say it again. What you said?
So I'm reading from the verse.
From my translation of the verse.
Yeah.
Well, just so read it.
I make request at your feet, Buddha Palita. You have clarified the ultimate meaning of dependent arising, the intention of the realized Aryas, the profound and essential point of imputed existence, exclusively established by name alone.
Right. Imputed existence is established by name alone. The fact that it is imputed existence, I think that's I forget if the Tibetan is Dayu, like Dayu and Zeyu.
Oh, okay. Okay. 다이어리스. 라닝 무슨 출신 무슨 때 먹어봐.
Right.
때 그거봐. 때 그거봐. 다이어 민경. 야야야.
Right. So Dayu, this is imputed existence is just literally that it was too many words to put in, but it means that something is dependently knowable. That you can only know something by one thing is you can know it only by knowing itself, like the vase. That's Zeyu. But something like the self, you have to also know the aggregates in order to know the self. So it is known only in terms of being tied to another object and knowing the two together.
제가 튕규비 룰이야. 아니 시루나. 시루나 따유 제유 시절 미스스 봐.
So in the Prasangika Madhyamaka system, they say that all phenomena are imputed existence. There's no the substantially existent phenomena in the Prasangika system are non-existent. There's all phenomena only imputed existence.
A good example is forest, army. If we say army, that one the general is not army. Two is not just a kind of army. So all coming together as a group, and then we can say army there.
Or the whole can only exist dependent on parts.
So this, if you take to any phenomena, even the self, then it is
imputedly existent.
So imputedly existent is literally the word, but actually it means imputedly knowable.
Yeah, to know as existent, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, to know sounds as though it's created. I mean, to exist sounds like it's created, but it is only known imputedly or tied to something else. The whole can only be known tied to parts. Whole can't exist by itself. So all phenomenon are imputedly knowable. In other words, all phenomenon as a whole thing is imputedly knowable on parts. That's a very gross level.
So actually, the merely labeled, that is not when we name outside, when we say we should call him a Tashi, we should call him Rinpoche, we should call, not like that. From here you have already some kind of understanding, you have this image. But in order to bring this image down there, you cannot bring it down. So now you need some kind of word to function that. Saying, now we call this small stranger, young guy, we call him Felix. Right? Okay, so that's Felix. No debate. Even he's called Tupten, Okay, Felix. That's how it goes. The mostly it's from here that how the Felix functions. Then you have this image already here. So more merely labeled is not what we named. It's something from here. What we just all the 타니베 자화체 제줘봐. 필릭스 자화체벌 때네. 디레 디 간사 디레 세냐베 로지 예버리스. 다 딜이야 강준이 뭐 추비천도 아주 필릭스 명다고 봐.
So then, in order sort of to help orientate ourselves, the Felix, the way that what the sort of functions of Felix and all the sort of characteristics or functions of Felix, and on that basis we apply a particular name to you to sort of orientate ourselves towards those particular sort of characteristics and functions that you have, and then that we posit that name or as a.
So now you
that name onto you.
To the cows down there. Yeah. So this group in there, there's no name. No name like you. I call you John. I call you Mary. No, it's they still have this. This is the enemy. This is a friend. They have this feeling already. Some here. They never mistake. Even though they look very same, they never mistake. This is my father, this is mother. So they have this. So then they have this image. So now we humans, and then we can speak, we can just bring this kind of label as a word, what's speech. So then that becomes this. Otherwise, then we can say, pajulaya, ani ngashibе tanya mepchagwa.
So then they'd have no sort of way of having a sort of convention or term for I for themselves, for the I of the cow. They wouldn't have anything,
The thing is, how do you distinguish one thing from another in order to avoid the confusion, to confuse one thing for another?
Yeah.
So the aggregate of distinguishing, then you know the functioning of this cow, you know the functioning of that cow. So in your mind, to be able to distinguish this cow from that cow, you give each of them a name.
Then because our own identity face is not good enough to recognize. So then we have to make a passport. That's what they say.
That's a very good example. All Mac laptops look exactly alike. All iPhones look exactly alike.
Yes.
So you give it a password?
Yeah. Okay.
But in the cow's mind that you were describing, they have their distinguishing. Is that also referred to as the name?
Yeah, they have their own way of identifying there's a name there, but not name as like.
Right. Yeah, they can tell. All the penguins can tell each other apart from each other.
Yes. You should go and ask. My name is Mo, and his name is Mo. Yeah, sure, it should be. Sure.
That's why they say it's a conceptual construct.
Yes. That's why they go to their mother, not others' mother. So they say, my mother. It's there. Huh? Okay. Oh.
There's a small mic there.
It's a new mic, but it's not. It makes a lot of
Yeah.
To pass around.
Okay. Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Oh yes.
So I have a practical question. What advice do you have for work?
What?
For working?
For
Working?
A lot of us are working. Like I have a full-time job.
Okay.
I wonder what advice you have for that time, and especially taking what we learned this week,
Okay.
because it's very profound things and it's
Okay.
hard for me to apply. And just one example situation on my mind is I'm now a manager in a team in a company, and I think I may need to fire someone soon.
What's
So
that? Fire?
You might need to fire someone to
Fire someone.
fire, yeah, to get
Oh, okay.
to fire
Dismiss him. Oh,
So I
okay.
wonder what advice do you have?
Not shoot someone,
Okay.
not fire at. Fire, yeah, to dismiss.
Okay, yeah. To fire someone. Okay. So the question is, how to fire someone?
Practical advice. He said it was practical.
But with applying the 12 links.
Yeah, okay. That's so in the 12 links, yesterday when we say in the our kind of the category that we are in now, it's the on the this according to this life for sure, the the 11th. So now in the 11th, then it talks about all the kind of problems we are going through. So then that's why we say all the problems that we have, everything. So that somehow we live as a problem. We never just look back. With this problem, we have this strong behavior or this habit that the problem is something from there only, from outside. I have a problem with my boss, that my boss created it. You have a problem with your wife, my wife made this problem. I'm a kind of okay. So now with this teaching, even the problem you haven't created, it's somebody's misunderstanding, and then they take it very seriously and then create a problem. But somehow, if we think, why me? That's why I say, why me today? Okay? Then you have to feel, sure there's something from my side, there is something. So that is, you don't need to too detailed, like what happened in my past life and I wanted to see that. No need. But somehow we can feel this is good enough to poke you a little bit, to connect you to something that you have contributed. So then going to this link, like the problem which I got in this life is something that in the previous karma that I have already contributed for myself to come to this. So now when you see this and then you see from these lives, so the great Lama Tsongkhapa was one of the main disciples, Tsenshab Rinpoche, he said, Tsedigi ledang, Tsedigi nyomoni di, Gyunjegi Rinpa 아니 Gyunjegi Rinpa di, Dangzin lu tudang di, 아니 chigi kogyur ke remi dus. Kogyur ke remi dus.
So then,
Dangzin lu tudang di da.
yeah, the connection with. So then, Gyaltsab J said in one of his texts that taking the karma of this life and the mental afflictions of this life, and their connection with the self-grasping, sedigi daxin, so the self-grasping in this life, understanding the connection, the relationship between those two is not a hidden phenomena. It's not. It's a nungur. So you can experience it. Yeah, you can experience it. It's not a hidden phenomenon.
Tsedigi mishibe mongbe wangi nyegi lesa ba teledeni mi shenla ne shenla ne ba teledeni susu jutu duzo sangma ledang digi nyomongi rimbaje dangji sedelo chik thoya duas.
So we can see these things. So, for instance, with this sort of confusion and not knowing or misunderstanding of confusion at its base, then we commit we engage in sort of different karmas, and then we see, for instance, it's obvious to see that for instance, we harm someone else, we harm others, and then through this process, our own mind streams get disturbed as well. And so you can see this, the way in which these the afflictions are troublemakers within this life, coming from the process of the grasping.
제상하다 까년지 채원도 전에 딜이야 까년디 용나양 당도 쉬우지 까년 딜에 피기 까년데도 중중지 인지리데 이나야 뒤쳐로 당년단 증캔디 다도 좀 일단 증치셔버디 독도도와.
So and then also we can establish that when it's also something we can establish or experience that when difficulties come, and often the difficulties are actually quite small, but then we tend to exaggerate them and turn them into much larger difficulties. And again, this is the self-grasping is something which is involved in this process of doing that, and this is something we can also establish or prove. So.
By thinking like this, then you try to the beautiful way is to make this connection until you can say whatever problem from outside, maybe I'm making such a big thing out from there, whatever, the problem really is so much grasping, right?
Yeah.
So then automatically you will think, in order to fit into the society, in order to fit with the work, and then so much being honest, not biased, whatever you think, that thinking of not grasping to yourself so much, then it loosens your the clinging, and then what is more wonderful to see the reality of yours, and then you make a decision, and maybe you from this loosening the grasping, maybe person whom you really wanted to fire, maybe you have some kind of a very personal reason. And then you will just think very carefully and loosen this. But then maybe even you don't have any kind of a something strongly not connected to self-grasping, but maybe then he might be not suitable for this job. Maybe he will bring more chaos in the community. Then you fire for that reason. Then sometimes we fire.
One thing to keep in mind when we think in terms of, as Rinpoche said, that if we have some problem in this lifetime, that we have undoubtedly created some sort of karmic potential in a previous lifetime, to understand that things don't arise just from that one cause. Because when you think like that, then you say, well, I'm experiencing that in this lifetime as a punishment for what I did. I was bad in my last lifetime, and now I'm getting this. But you have to understand that you need many, many different conditions that are also contributing to, that's just one part of the causal reason why things are happening. It's not happening only from, arising from other things, or not only arising just from self, but a combination of them.
So it really helps to think, it is so powerful saying you have to recognize the emptiness, and then the problem is solved. Then you feel like I put the effort to know the emptiness, and then just by knowing the emptiness, it solves a problem. Then means like it is more like if I put more effort to know, then from knowing it somehow stops. No, more down, bigger thing is the emptiness itself. It's the reality. When you feel like up to now, what all the problem we grasping, through the grasping, wherever what we do the good thing or a bad thing, we are always trying to do something, but not knowing what the true reality is. So then, once you feel like, open this up and say, the emptiness, the true reality of the self, it's already there, but not knowing I was just going there and here. And then you feel like there's nothing actually to blame yourself. There's like we say from the beginningless, we are deluded. If you once not deluded, and then you become deluded, and then the problem start. Maybe you say, now I feel guilty. Maybe I didn't do. But it's not like that. It's more like, until now, we are wondering because we have no idea what really happening with us. But now, the Buddha said, whether you become Buddha or Buddha comes or not, this kind of truth, reality is within you. Once you see it, you will become liberated. You don't see it, you will become as who you are at the moment, maybe a little bit worse. That was a very strong teaching. That's very strong teaching, actually. It's more like not just knowing or not, but it's when we use knowing or not knowing, then it is a little bit soft. But it's more like not just knowing, but you are doing something against the reality. Against the reality. Then that means through this against going to reality, then you are deluded. And not only deluded, that will lead to so many other sufferings. That is, of course, just you maybe you have like we have this example like on the first day or I don't know the second day, like you have a GPS, but maybe you forgot to update that, and it takes you another road, and then whom to blame actually, right? Maybe you didn't update that. So it will surely take you to the wrong place because not knowing this is how it designed. So we are kind of like this. So now it is more to update by what the Buddha has given. So update it and then go on the right path. That's it. So if not, you will have the GPS which cannot be updated, which you have from the ignorance. Then we go through that. That's how then going through the 12 links again and again. Yep. So does that kind of answer your question? So don't not only for your work only. It's this antidote should be every day, every minute you wake, every minute you are sleeping, you need to use this antidote. Antidote saying, just checking, be very soft on yourself. There's too much grasping or not. If something, when the negative emotion rises, then you have to calm yourself down and then connect. Okay, now I can see my self-grasping. That it's done by Lama Tsongkhapa when he gave the special instruction to some of his students after Manjushri gave him a homework saying that now you need to go to the retreat, and then I will choose some of the students who are suitable for your practice and that you can share the teaching with them. I choose few of the students. Even Lama Tsongkhapa just said, I can go do the retreat but I have like thousands of the students whom I'm giving the teaching. So abandoning them maybe not very beneficial. Maybe to preservation of Dharma, maybe that is not maybe okay. He told to the Manjushri, and Manjushri said, I am the omniscient one. I know what is the benefit. I know what is the preservation of Dharma. You don't need to worry about that. You do as what I told you. So then Lama Tsongkhapa leaves for a very strict retreat. Then at the time of the retreat, he gives this special instruction of this to check with this. First, not just emptiness. Before going deep into the emptiness, he have this meditation. All this breathing meditation and everything is there now. After this breathing, the meditation, and then he said, now calm your mind, and then now check, keeping all these distractions away, then wait, just like it's like a very professional hunter who waits for the prey. Prey. So if you make a sound or be distracted, you may miss the opportunity. So with this meditation, looking where is this innate this the self,
the I, the sense of I.
The I. And then he told in the Lama Tsongkhapa told in his this special we call this 30. How will you translate
the guide
30?
to the view.
The guide to the view.
On the middle way.
On the middle way. He said, and then slowly you can see the inner eye, that the 풍부하고 강라 마트베기 ngarangrang jidusi sharungris.
So there's an I in that state. There's an I which appears to be completely unrelated to the aggregates, which will slowly appear as in this quiet condition.
Just
kind of appear or rise up somehow.
딘지직 땅 얘기 단답하도 딩신 얘기 sem딩 오만데 나로야 다도 좀 등진 행계기 예 단답하도 카드 작사디.
That's the one that we have to take on and challenge, that in deep inside of ourselves, this innate mind of self of grasping to the I, which we need, and this is the one that we need to challenge or face head on.
The automatically arising one?
Yeah.
The automatically arising I?
Automatically arising of this self.
Yeah.
And then this one, when you are so angry, fighting towards other, this is so active. That time you don't feel like, there's no way.
There's not something where you sort of conceive of this is the self which is sort of posited or imputed upon the aggregates. It's not like that.
Like number shape. Like we say,
the self is the self which is the consciousness or something like that. That way, it's not like that.
So like this, then you will think like the whole day my job, my personal job, not to earn the money job, my real job to check whether this kind of innate, whenever it is coming, may I recognize that. Right? What? So then, when dear master, when this anger comes up, then he will just meditate. Whenever the strong attachment comes, then he will meditate. We're so ready. But for us, we cannot do it. We will practice on the cushion, And then we feel like, oh, so great, my Lama, so kind, so great. And then he goes to the, maybe meet his, maybe, I don't know, the enemy. No, nobody goes to meet the enemy. So maybe, I don't know. It may be like some the place where you go and there's something instant happen and some big problem, and then you cannot control your emotion. That time, it is one of the best time to recognize, because the real enemy is now deep inside, coming out in you. But that time, you are under the sway of the great master, which is not the good one. The subgrassing control everything now there. That's why we say, under the sway of, controlled, powered. But then, more your awareness is much stronger, then there is a way. So that's why in the Rinpoche, when the Rinpoche, why it becomes so famous? Because the person who is so qualified, that kind of person already have quite good understanding on emptiness, what Nagarjuna has taught. And now he is so ready to, with the blessings of his guru and the commitment he has, the ethical conduct that he has, and then he will not lose the opportunity when this strong, innate I really comes, then he will look at it. Then you say, where is that so-called I? And then automatically it dissolves. So then that is one of the biggest opportunity. But not easy. Never been easy. Because one of a friend of mine, quite a rich person. So he has lots of lama. Okay, I don't call myself his lama, but he has quite a respect to me. But then he shares an instant. He said, there is one lama, and then he looked at him and said, you look so suitable to practice Rinpoche, Dzogpa Chenpo. And then he looked in the teaching, he said, the person who really has to practice Dzogpa Chenpo, the merit and the suitable is like this kind of person. And everybody looked at him. He was so embarrassed. You know? And then he said, next day you come and I give you the teaching on Dzogpa Chenpo. So he was super excited. And then he made such a great contribution to the monastery and his schools and everything. And then he said, now sit there, it's a small throne. And here has the special the scripture text, and then puts on his head, saying, now search where is this I. Then because everybody is looking at him, and he tried to look into it, nothing is coming, nothing is coming. Then his Lama said, look, he found it. So the more funny thing is, he thought he found the Dzogpa Chenpo. And then every day he has a very nice shrine room. He meditates on the Dzogpa Chenpo. Early in the morning from 4 o'clock until 10 a.m. in the morning, he goes meditating very strongly. Then I thought, like, maybe something incredible happened. And then after a few years later, I checked with his children, because children are not that interested in Dharma. And then one time when we were talking, he said, I don't know my father, what kind of practice he's doing, but more he become aggressive, more he become like more aversion there, surely we will say, I don't want to practice like him. That is something. So now we should, with this, what the point where I'm saying is, so with all this kind of practices, what we do, the searching of this, what is the self-grasping, and then slowly you put a little bit more effort with so much merit, and then having a strong devotion, and then one day there is always a hope for us, 100% hope, that we can come to realize there is this innate I somehow which with this kind of ignorance mind, how we are deluded. Then nobody has to tell you. Even Buddha will come and say, now you can stop. You won't stop. That's the point. So like this, with this kind of belief or the confidence, until that, we need to put little effort there.
Two little points. One is that don't become confused by the English word innate, because you can think that it might have the meaning of inherently existent. It doesn't mean that. It also doesn't mean the conventional I that we all have. It means the automatically arising one. There are the doctrinally based that you have to learn from one of the non-Buddhist systems. And then there is this sense of grasping to the self that just automatically arises, that even the dog has. So this word innate can be very, very easily misunderstood, the English word.
Okay.
So I never used that. And the other thing, although you didn't say it, but what is implicit in what you said is that once you, in terms of firing somebody, that once you try to eliminate the self-grasping that is projecting, me onto the situation, then you can see the causal dependent arising more clearly without that filter of me, and see what is the best thing to do in the situation. So voidness helps you to see the dependent arising.
Yes. That's it. Yeah. Okay, so what's...
Thank you.
Oh, we answered everybody's question. So good.
I have more questions, but I think someone else.
Maybe not? Okay. Oh, okay.
Felix.
Okay.
But why is it that we have to first meditate on the selfness of the I before we meditate on selfness of the phenomenon? And is that always like that, or is it a general rule?
Yeah. The question is why we need to meditate on the self before the meditating on self.
Why you meditate Kansagi Dame first, and then Chutamchigi Dame, Chugi Dame.
The real order.
As a starter, as a beginner.
I think the first way to 당부디 언니 제베이나 아니 다다 간사기 담에는 최기 담에 시베 최디 phenomena 찾아게 좀 해보지.
So when we talk about when we divide this up into the sort of the selflessness of a person and then the selflessness of phenomena, here we're not necessarily talking about specifically every single. When we talk about the phenomena, we're not necessarily talking about every single phenomenon.
다 제상가 당보 빼나 지기 랑주기 최기 당면 때나 파원도 점배 아니 냐리야 아 신예디 가와도 세원도 점배 풍부되는 세원과
So then, in terms of thinking about this cultivation of a sort of understanding of selflessness of phenomena, then, but the first sort of thing to think about here is that thinking about in terms of the I, where does the the I appears to us on the basis of the aggregates.
제정가 아니 풍부딩니 아니 도스제제다 바케원도 점배 아니 딘디기다 가르쳐오래 아주마선에 주스 창사기 딜레텐 디 풍부 창면 안에 막 까요도 점배 아니 되네 아주 한겨워지 한겨워지도 실로를 샤야지도가 딘디디 다 자원이니 요 말에 냐벨레원도 신의 아니 간사하게 다음에 가야 되니 버들레원도가
So actually, sort of in the way that we so that from the self to us appears to come from the side of the aggregates, and if we then sort of looking into that and working through and starting to understand that the self is not each of the aggregates, and then once you've done that, there's a sense that you have a sense that there's still a sort of self, sort of. It's not any of the aggregates, but there's still some kind of self which is independent from the aggregates, which is still there. Then that's the sort of second phase where you start to look at the Gansagida. Yes, you start to look at then the selflessness of that.
제상가 분배딩도 제되니 간사다음에 제 교주 말아 봐. 풍부딩네 제는 간사다음에 야 니토지고 봐.
So then so understanding the selflessness of the aggregate, in this case in relation to the aggregates, then will sort of draw us closer to both saying but will help us to ascertain then the selflessness of the person.
So through the aggregates we find that is the searching of where is this kansa, this is the self, truly existence of I from the aggregates. Then it's the phenomena, the becomes very important. Then you come to the where there is the 풍불로양 kana madubege ngarangyawajidu samatangdu ta kansadame kan leongoris.
So then having sort of refuted that in that way in sense of not being one of the aggregates, but there's still left over with this sort of sense of self which is not reliant on or almost sort of independent from the aggregates, and then that's where you then start to meditate or sort of analyze in terms of selflessness of person.
So because this is important, then Prasankika is debating towards all other schools, saying in order to know the selflessness, very importantly, then you will need to take out Sura, to refute,
destroy or eliminate,
to refute the graspings of the from the aggregate side. So the closest one, who is the Savatantrika, but still, even you say there is no
they say that there's no true existence. That's one of their tenets.
But Korangi ngöne dubaji 풍부 ngöne 단도 dubaji 해 운도 잠이 풍부 ngöne 쓰기도 봐. 풍부 ngöne duba지 랑은에 두게 봐. 풍부 ngöne duba지 단동제 쉐줄 하바이나. 아니 가사가 다면 또 말이스.
And so, but then, so the Prakasangika is saying that even for this school, even though you posit the fact that things are not established or don't exist truly, but if you've got any sort of leftover, anything left over in terms of thinking that it exists from its own side, then you won't be able to realize the selflessness of the person.
디 직단이 게비 고름디 직단이 있을까? 직단이 게비 고름디 간데스기도 슬라나 아니 당보 nye seya den tene nga seya de ligu yores.
So then, if we think about the way in which the two forms of the false view of the transitory collection arise, then also, first of all, comes mine, and then comes I.
No diri. The jezanga azu kansa dame de chögi dame seya de chögi dame zo 이지 미지 디로 고고 풍부 디로 고고요. 최다 간사 니주 셰베 남네. 최세도 고고.
So this, so as Rinpoche said at the beginning, it's not talking about all phenomena when we talk about the different division between self and phenomena. When we talk about the two selflessnesses, we're not talking about all the phenomena. We're talking about how the specific phenomena we're relating to here is the phenomena of our aggregates, and then the person on the basis of those aggregates. So that's how it's being referred to in terms of those two stages of the two false views of the transitory collection.
Can it help? Can it help to, for example, you look at a Buddha statue, or try to find the Buddha, or try to see the emptiness of the Buddha, and then transfer that to yourself?
Transfer?
I mean,
Wi-Fi.
By airdrop.
Airdrop.
Airdrop, yeah. The Buddha didn't say you couldn't airdrop.
No. We don't need to transfer or transform anything from Buddha to us, actually. Then the whole concept of the teaching of Buddha is not going to work here. Buddha himself said, I cannot transform my putting my hand on there.
Wash away your
I
sins.
cannot airdrop my knowledge on you. That's what he said. He said already. More is
Airdrop.
airdrop. Right. More. He said, what I taught that you already have. That where you are going against or going opposite direction, which already reality that you need to know. Once you see this reality, then you have found Buddha. And now, for example, people recognize me from my voice saying, without knowing anything about the truth or the ultimate truth, then they have said like, I know Buddha. Even we are talking here physically, the Buddha here, Buddha says, they don't know me. That's in the Dhammapada Sutra.
Yeah.
So saying, you first know the emptiness of me and ultimate truth of me, and then you say, seeing the conventional Buddha there, and then you recognize it. No, the good thing is not, it's only about Buddha, it's for all the phenomena. So like, if you really wanted to know the truth, conventional truth of the table, first you really need to know the ultimate truth of the table, and then once you see the conventional truth of the table. So then we say we know the truths of the table. Unless even Buddha says or giving you any kind of a inspiration, it is not going to work like that.
Do you want me to summarize what you were saying before?
Okay.
There's a difference between how you first understand voidness, and then when you are familiar with voidness, how you meditate. So first, it's easier to understand first that the self can't exist independently of the aggregates, and then you see what's left over. The self can't be known separately from the aggregates, and then you see what's left over, and then the self that still seems to be left over can't exist self-established. So that's the voidness of all phenomenon. So it's by going through like the tenet system understandings that you can get to the voidness of all phenomenon. But then when you're very familiar with it, then you start in your meditation with the voidness of all phenomenon, which is the voidness of the basis of imputation. That's what's mine. The aggregates is mine. And if the basis for imputation is void, is not self-established, how can a person imputed on that basis be self-established? So when you're familiar, then you start with the voidness of mind, of the basis for imputation, and then me, what is imputed on it.
Okay.
Is that connected with suchness?
Suchness is another word for voidness.
Okay.
Could you give practical advice how I could keep in meditation focused and not drift into dullness and fall asleep? So keep focused. Is there some
Coffee.
there coffee?
Espresso. Let's at the moment let's don't talk about the focus meditation. More we say whatever we do, okay, we check in our daily life. When does the concentration without an effort, when does that come? We all have that. Don't just bring your dark secret. Just meditate what really makes you very strong and focus, and the concentration very strong. When is that moment? And then when you feel like on this level it is so easy, I can do it for hours and hours. Even if I have to give up my sleep, I can. I need to not need to eat. That comes to the point where you say the real answer will be that I don't need to put much of the concentration. More it is to feel the joy. Unless you cannot bring this kind of joy, all that you wanted to say focus, it is a pressure into your mind. And if you pressure yourself, what happens? Sleep. So what happened in Tibet? One Lama gave a kind of a commitment to in a general public teaching, and do maybe like Om Mani Padme Hum, like maybe 100 times a day. Okay, 100 kazori.
100 malas a day.
Sorry,
100 rounds of the mala.
100 times. Okay. That's the so much given this commitment. Then the one old man, when after a few months later, he went there to meet the Lama, and then said, "This Om Mani Padme Hum is
It's something. It's like something which is just really obscuring. No, it says dribs and
it has a kind of a spell.
Oh yeah, sorry. It's
spell. Kind of spell to me to fall asleep.
Yeah.
Because every time I
Recite
started doing one time, most best sleep comes. So it's connected to the same when we are going to do something that you are not really enjoying, and then it happens. Reading books or everything. But then others, maybe you are enjoying so much, no sleep. Right? So now the first thing is more you are convinced, convinced, more you feel must, more you feel urgent, more you feel all this, no way to sleep. So that's why in the renunciation we say day and night, when I start to think like I need to get a liberation, then even in the dream, that you want to feel like looking for this kind of hope. Then it starts. So before that, find the joy. Why I'm not enjoying my practice? That is the one best question for yourself. That's why Lama. That's why I say Shantideva is such a great, very positive and maybe say businessman. He knows how to sell the rest of the chapters of the way of Bodhisattva's life, because he talks about the benefit of the bodhicitta. Then if you look at it, how this quality, if I get this, whatever I have to do for that, I'm going to buy that. Then all this effort of purification and everything, you feel you need it. Not like, yeah, I need to do it. If I don't do it, I have a samaya with my lama, and I might go to hell. And that's so so cheap.
Yeah.
That's not such a good reason. And sounds like you are doing the commitment for your lama. Oh, that's not really good way. Because you are the one who asked for this. Actually, Lama didn't say, you come, I give you work, you do it. Not like that, right? So that's why I think very importantly we need to look for this kind of joy. So no rush, feel the joy, connected. Then like a Marpa, nobody can stop him go to India to find Dharma. Even he had so many bad experience from the first visit to India, life-threatening, almost lost his life for several times. That's why from that time, when they make kind of a recognize India as, because in Tibet there's no much, it's because high climate.
Not many insects.
Many insects like in down south of India. So that's why they are kind of snakes or so many venomous species there. So in their notes they are saying the time when I went to the Simbu,
The land of the insects, or the land of the small bugs.
you can see there was so many problems for them. So they say like this. So they went through so many problems, but they enjoyed. Like if there's somebody selling one of the best tiramisu, my host makes such wonderful. So sometimes you tell me like to give a teaching, then I will say, okay, maybe you say, oh, there is this one of the best tiramisu, you please come. Then I might come. so then no effort much, similarly like that. So once you feel this is urgently needed, so you have to find that more. So that's why focus more on the history, the life story of yours, these 12 links. You feel more believe in this system, the connections, how it is. First from the first, there comes a second, and then third. That's for sure. You feel. Then it is very easy for you to feel like, now what is the antidote? I really want that. Okay.
One more mental factor that helps very much is you find it really interesting. You're really interested to do this, then you enjoy it.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So so we stop.
Rinpoche, there is one question online. Shall I ask?
Okay.
So why should I help illusory beings who have no intrinsic existence?
이슐리 그래서 유마다비 심jen라
Rinpoche del sopa del
유마다비와
illusory beings.
심진 군수 유마레 유마레스야다 유마다비 세니를 쳐봐요 그래.
So there's a difference between being illusory and being illusory-like.
Illusory like Slavina, and then we need to help. But then if we say it is illusory, then can do much.
An illusion,
right?
yeah, an illusion.
제장가 주마다부 세고 좀센데 주마세도 점be 주마레세 얘기제도 그거 말해. 군주 주마다부를 세야지. 군주 주마다부를 세고 좀센데 가발토 그랬으나 타직도 코랑경연에 매나양 당동양 자와치기도 왔어. 안디 가르더부도 아주 빼디 가르더부도 주마다부도.
Yeah, so we're using this as when we're talking about being illusory-like, we're using this as a sort of analogy in the sense that we're not we're sort of not saying that they're that we're saying they're illusory-like, and the reason that we say they're illusory-like is because we say that they or whilst they don't exist, they don't. We can clearly state that they don't exist from their own side, but they still do perform their functions. So this is why this is how we sort of connect that. So we say they're illusory-like and not an illusion themselves.
For us, it's true, so true.
Oh, so Rinpoche said so they're not like a completely false phenomena. It's not like that. It's just that they're illusory-like because they don't exist from their own side, but they do have function.
So opposite for us, we feel so true, so truly appearance, existence. We feel so strongly, but then when we come to on the realization of the emptiness, and then even that thing cannot 그소리 코랑기 뇌네 매나양 안에 단동양 자와체바 통원도 준비 안 딜라야 땅 아주기 직대 용다가 명디 가르다기 있을라나 규모도 그러셔 세지.
So then, when we really understand that the phenomena don't exist at all from their own side, and yet they're still able to perform functions, then in the worldly way that we talk about something which in this way sort of as being like an illusion. So so it doesn't exist from its own side, but it still performs functions. And in the worldly way, we would talk about this as being illusory.
그 뒷버루로 연주 직 우주 가르자고 월세도 근데 아니 코란 당동양 자와체베데 가르레스도 랑신기 동바 인장세 고와데 나로라 띵중데 매베이나 아니 자와체 초그를 했어야 돼요 말.
So then we also sort of need to sort of add on to that a little bit in the sense that if something doesn't exist, when we talk about things as not having any existence from their own side, but we have to be able to present in relation to those phenomena dependent origination. Otherwise, if we're not able to do that, then we won't be able to posit them as existing from their own side, but still having forms of functionality.
제장가 제를 묻히기 아니 동바 인장 띵중리 띵중 인장 자와 제초그리 세데 답에 좀된 되기다 숨기 닝부들이샤 아니 에마호 시제 되들 답도와.
And so in Lama Tsongkhapa's praise to dependent origination, he talks about this relationship of how because things are empty, they therefore are dependent originations. Because they're dependent originations, they are able to perform functions. And then he says this is the real essence of the Buddha's teaching. And then at the end of I think it's a couple of verses, he uses this word emaho, which is literally like great bliss, at the sort of amazement at the understanding of this sort of essence of the Buddha's teachings.
So from now on, you hear the word of Emaho, you have to remember that.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we what's that? So we do the dedication.
You want another session? Need to do a session? You will do the session?
Maybe you can do that. Do that. Is that okay? Okay. Okay. Okay, we do the dedication.
Saji Pegi Jogshi Medojam Lira Lingji Nede Gempadi Sangye Shindu Mikde Ulvayi Dragunanda Shinla Chuba Shu Jetun Lame Gudze Rabden Jing Napka Jile Jogchu Gepadam Losang Tempe Jeme Sasumgi Dove Menzel Tatune Gyuchik Iadam Guru Ratna Mandala Niyatayami. Having thoroughly investigated in accord with all that I have heard, day and night through the four reasonings, mind born of reflection on these topics of contemplation, may this discernment sever all doubts. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma. By completing the qualities of the grounds and paths, may I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. I fully dedicate all these virtues to be able to train just like the hero Manjushri, who knows reality, and just like Samantabhadra as well. I fully dedicate all my roots of virtue with dedication praised as best by all the gone beyond victorious ones of the three times, in order to have good conduct, with my heart going out with great compassion, in whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread, or once spread have declined. May I reveal this treasure of happiness and aid.
Okay, thank you. So tomorrow morning we have one session, right? One session. So then, 10 o'clock. So then we do the Bodhicitta vow, and there is one transmission, isn't it? The three aspects of the path. So then we will do that. So that's why I left the Bodhicitta section for tomorrow. Clever me, huh?
Yeah.
So, as now we know, this is the kind of this time, the end of this retreat together, and maybe you have experienced a different kind of retreat with somebody speaking for hours and hours, and then not much of the single-pointed meditation or keeping quiet and just going very elegantly going like that. That you can do at your home. But most important, because we become quite friendly, that's why I'm frankly very speaking directly. But sometimes it becomes so necessarily to speak out loud and give you the kind of whatever I learned from my teacher, what really changed my way of thinking, which we call the inspiration from knowing the truth. That was Buddha told us, that how Buddha become Buddha. And now His Holiness Dalai Lama always says this way of reading and contemplating and then meditation, so great. But what we in the West here and in many places, what is lacking is the information, or the analytical meditation is so much neglected So for that reason, before I made this in a computer, I just made a few sentences like very beautifully. Now meditate 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. I made it like that. And then one point I just thought like maybe 30 minutes. So put it like that. Then I deleted everything off because I just don't wanted to keep quiet and maybe not talking, and then maybe meditating, maybe my meditation may be going well or not. I don't know what about yours. So why to just waste time like that? So as a human to human, better to speak. And then more you feel connected, drawn to the practice, then wherever you go, like Lama Tsongkhapa's 3 principal aspects of the path, sending to his students, saying, now at the end of the tomorrow, in the 3 principles aspects of the path, saying, now you know all the importance of the 3 principal aspects of the path. Now you are ready to go to the solitary retreat. That's there. But Lama Tsongkhapa will never do such things like not giving to the points to his student and saying, let's meditate together. No use. So this even not, I'm not qualified, but whatever I just received this teaching from His Holiness, and then also from my teacher, and so kind that he tried to maybe just open my heart and just put it there, something like that. So this kind of, even through my laziness, I couldn't understand the whole thing, but whatever I felt like this is necessary, I need to practice like that. I need to bring this. I try to share with you. So then I thought like maybe not to just meditate and then say a few words and meditate. That is, yes, darshan.
Darshan, yeah.
So yeah, anyway, I just wanted to clarify your doubts. And more in the future, then more I become better, and you also do your homework and become better, and then maybe just we say, I will maybe meditate, you all meditate, and then we will say, wow, not much talking, but experience and realization, so good. Oh, let's hope for that day. Okay, thank you. See you tomorrow.